What's up guys, Truman here, welcome back to another video. So, I thought I'd catch the rest of the light today. I've just finished making a couple of videos. Might find interesting about what it's like growing up with narcissistic parents and the whole journey of it. But today, I wanted to talk about, because this is going to be a health video, one of the first ones I'm going to put on my channel more later on, about why you can't heal. Now, there's so many people I found who have all sorts of issues that they've been going through for years upon years upon years upon years upon years, and they can't seem to find a solution. They're stuck. Either they have consistent gut issues, or they can't get rid of this acne, or they can't get rid of this or that problem. And they've tried, right? They've tried all sorts of stuff. And the first reason, I think, is, quite frankly, and don't be offended by this, it's ignorance. Now, obviously, we're not born in this life with a manual. We're not taught how the body works, at least logically. So we tend to basically reach out to the first thing that we think is going to help. So we search up on Google, or we find someone who's tried something, and then we try it ourselves. And what happens is we sometimes get success, like, we'll hear about, you can clear up your skin by changing your diet, and this is the best diet to do. So then they'll switch to a different diet, and they have some results for a while, but then they eventually either fail because they can't maintain it, or they don't get the results that they want. Or they'll take a specific supplement because the supplement is supposed to help, like people who have OCD. B12 is absolutely amazing for that. They take B12, they start to feel better, but at the same time they're just constantly taking B12. And I think the main reason, is ignorance of the fact that the body is an integrated system. It's not something that you can, well, rarely is it ever something that you can just take one supplement and have all your problems go away, I used to think that as well. I used to get hooked up on, this one amazing thing is going to really, really help me, and I'm going to try it, and I'm really excited when I try it. And I've tried a lot of stuff. So I tried that one thing, I would have benefits, I would have results, and then eventually, either it would peter out because I'm not where I want to be, or, there would be some side effects or something, so I'd stop, but I'd never really truly get to the bottom of the cause. Now, one things I realized after years of trying different supplements and stuff, excuse me, was that if I had simply been consistent and accumulated all the other things that I'd have, done research on them, and actually integrated them into a whole program, I would have had really great results really, really quickly. Now, what am I talking about? Like, for example, if you have OCD or something a bit more common, like, for example, you have skin issues, so you start to take, MSM or silica or something like that. If you were to integrate that into a program, like, for example, if you were to start addressing the diet as well, and if you were to start, sorry about the cars, and if you're about to start, cutting out smoking or cutting out drinking or reducing your sugar, if you were to put it into some sort of an integrated program, you would see long-term results and you'd see an actual reversal of the issues. Rarely is it that you find one thing that will really help, but it's tempting. Like, for me, I found that MMS was absolutely amazing for me when it came to reversing my autism or reversing my gut issues. The thing is that when I started taking it, what would happen is that the side effects would be extreme, and I wasn't addressing the diet. So I kept on eating crap, I kept on smoking, I kept on drinking, and I would never actually get to the place I was. And it's demoralizing. It's really demoralizing, because you're like, oh, maybe the next thing will help, maybe the next thing will help. And maybe you've been doing this for 20 years and you've done loads of stuff, and it's like, oh, why isn't anything helping me? I challenge those people to stop looking at the body as if it's like a one pill, one fix solution. Look at it as a holistic solution, it's a whole holistic process. It's all integrated. So you've got to look at the diet, you've got to look at the supplements, you've got to look at your lifestyle. And most importantly, this is going to lead me on to my next point about why you can't heal. You have to look at the emotions as well. I realize that emotions are extremely powerful, more specifically suppressed trauma and suppressed tension. What you might find is that when you actually get the emotional release, either you get your emotional needs met, or you finally find someone who actually cares about you, or maybe you finally have that conversation with someone who you really were struggling with, or someone who was really, really annoying you. When you have that, and you have the emotional release, you also have a physical release as well. Thinking back to what happened to me recently, is that I used to have a long suppressed fear about what my extended family thought of me, because I thought that I was afraid for the rest of my life. So I avoided them all. And I love my extended family. They are, like, my cousins used to really, really look up to me. They still look up to me, even though they're a lot older now, and many of them sort of moved on. But I found that I developed such a fear around it that it actually created a physical symptom. And about 3 months ago, during my long-last juice fast, I finally confronted it, and I finally got my emotions out. Now, it was one of the biggest emotional releases I'd ever had. I was literally in tears. I was crying harder than I ever could, letting out all this emotional trauma. The next day, I won't go into the specific details, but I passed a lot of toxins, and it was quite intense, and I found that I could start, my digestion was visibly better. It was like it fixed so many issues going on with my digestion, just because I got this emotional trauma out. Now, yes, I was on a juice fast. It could have been from that as well, but it was literally the same day that this happened that I got all these emotions out that I've been holding for years and have been eating me up. Then I could actually finally heal. So it's not just about what you can do physically, but it's what you can do emotionally. Emotions are super powerful. So I really do suggest looking at where you're holding emotional trauma. What is it that you have in the back of your mind that you know that you're afraid of, that you know you're not facing, and try and take proactive steps to try and facing it. And what you'll find is that it can be miraculous. It can be like the acne finally goes away, or your joint pain will finally go away, or you'll stop getting insomnia, or all sorts of other stuff. So we tend to overly focus on the physical and think that once I find the right physical protocol, the right physical program, then I can really heal once I take the right stuff. But then we carry around suppressed emotions about our partner, or suppressed emotions about our achievements, or all sorts of other fears that really hold us back from really properly, truly healing. Because remember, the body is an integrated system. You cannot heal the physical without also healing the emotional. This is why juice fasts are so intensive, because it's not just physical toxins that you're getting out, it's emotional toxins. It's emotional toxins, and most people can't handle that because there's something that they're not facing. So when you start cleansing physically, all of a sudden you don't have the impetus to carry on being as emotionally constipated as before. Like, for example, you deal with anxiety for your whole life, and you find out that juice fasting really helps. But what you didn't realize was that the anxiety was actually there to show you that the environment that you're in is the wrong place to be in, or that the partnership or whatever is the wrong place to be in. Now here he comes. And once you fix that, all of a sudden, hey, you want to get some camera light, don't you? How's it going? And what you find is that once you actually get the emotional toxin, the physical toxins out, and the anxiety starts to be dealt with, you feel so out of place, because the place that you've been living in for your whole life, or the place or the partner that you've been with, that you've been in, or maybe the job that you've been working on, is so out of place and is so not the right thing for you to do, that you get that eventually you'll start to relapse, because the anxiety was there to basically keep you stable. It was there for a reason. It can be a whole lot of other issues too. So once you fix the physical and you start to detox physically, you start to detox emotionally. And if you're not ready to detox emotionally, you will sabotage yourself, and you'll be right back to where you were before, again and again and again, until you face the emotional reason for why there is all these issues. And it can be something different. It could be that the person that you're with, or there's a life circumstance that's causing you to eat emotionally. So because you're so emotionally deprived, you rely on junk food, you rely on all this stuff. And this is the main reason why people have such a hard time quitting sugar and all sorts of other stuff, because they're relying on it to fill these emotional needs that they are not filling themselves. So once they cut out the junk food, once they cut out all sorts of other stuff, cut out the smoking, cut out the drinking, they're faced with almost the monotony and the emotional depravity of their lives, and they can't take it. So they immediately go back to comfort food, even though it's causing all sorts of issues. Also, though, it's causing all sorts of issues with their lives. So the emotional reasons for why we eat, the emotional reasons for why we sick, are just as important as the physical. And I cannot stress this enough. Maybe, look at the places, meet your needs. Basically is what I'm saying. Meet your emotional needs. Now, I did make a video about that, basically talking about how I was going around in circles with my healing, and I couldn't seem to heal because I was in the wrong environment, and I didn't want to face it, because I thought, because I was afraid. I was afraid of people's opinions. I was afraid. I had lots of anxiety around meeting people, getting a partner, making new friends, and because of that, I shut myself off into my own little space. And the emotional depravity, the emotional problems that caused, basically made it so that it was 3 times harder to quit smoking, 3 times harder to eat a proper diet, and 3 times harder to quit those harmful foods that were causing all of the issues. So yeah, I think I've harped on about that enough. And now there's some obvious things, like for example, you're just taking the wrong supplement, or you're just not doing the right protocol, or you've tried hundreds of different protocols and none of them have worked. All sorts of other issues are why, for example, it may be very, very hard to heal. But I will say this because I've been on this for so long: don't give up. Literally, don't give up. The answers are out there, and it may sometimes, in fact most of the time, it's an answer that you don't want to face. Like for example, I had a conversation with someone who is dealing with a few issues with the gut and dealing with parasite issues. Now, the problem is that this person was eating foods that were actually making the problems worse. However, there was an emotional reason for why that person was eating those foods. And it's almost as if people get cognitive dissonance. They don't want to face the fact that they're going to have to quit sugar, or they're going to have to quit fruit, or they're going to have to quit this, that, and the other, because they know that they are, if not consciously but subconsciously, that they are emotionally dependent on that. So they're stuck in this consistent cycle, going around and around and around and around, never being able to quit that food. So yeah, get your needs met. There is hope. And my cat is sneezing, and that's not even relevant. So Freeman out, and peace.